If you want to guarantee that you're absolutely going to regret your life, you should absolutely prioritize work over everything else. You know, work and achievement and sort of climbing the ladder of corporate and career success is just the most important thing in life, right? Like, there's nothing more important than making sure you get that next rung on the ladder, than making sure you get your freaking 1,000,000 subscriber YouTube plaque, and making sure you get that first class degree, because obviously if you don't squeeze out those extra percentage points in your university degree, it's just not even worth it, right? Whenever there's a choice between prioritizing your health or thinking about your relationships, or doing something related to work, you should always pick the work example. You should totally cancel on your friends for the sake of staying at the office a little bit later. You should miss the childhood of your kids because you were working too hard. And you should absolutely convince yourself that earning that money is the thing that's really going to bring you fulfillment, it's going to bring you joy, and you should convince yourself that the extra money is really what your family want from you, rather than your own presence. By the way, the reason this is the first point we're talking about is because a palliative care nurse by the name of Bonnie Ware once wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And the second of the top 5 regrets is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So if you really want to guarantee that you regret your life, you should probably completely ignore that advice and work really, 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 really hard for your entire life. Secondly, if you want to completely guarantee that you regret your life, you should follow what other people expect of you. You should do exactly the thing that your parents really want of you. You should do exactly the thing that society thinks is good for you, and that would give you social status, and that would give you the approval of people that you know and also people that you don't know. You shouldn't try to do anything unconventional. You shouldn't even think of following your passions or, God forbid, taking a pay cut to do a job that you might enjoy more. The most important thing to make sure that you regret your life is to follow what others expect of you. And again, in brackets, the top regret of the dying is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So if you really want to guarantee that you regret your life, don't have the courage to live life true to yourself, and instead live the life that other people expect of you. All right, tip number 3 for guaranteeing that you regret your life is to always suppress your feelings. No one should really have to know what you really feel about something. You should never really express any of your needs or your preferences. You should always suppress your feelings, keep them to yourselves. Never really be honest with anyone about how you're feeling, because God forbid, they might think less of you, they might think you're less likable or less lovable, all of those reasons. And you should really feel those unspoken frustrations and those missed opportunities for authentic connections because, you just really do not want to express any of your feelings. Point number 4 to guarantee that you regret your life is to let your friendships fade over time. Don't ever put any effort into investing in friendships. After all, if you're really friends, then it shouldn't require any effort to keep in touch, right? They should be the ones reaching out to you, and the fact that they haven't reached out to you probably means that they're not interested in being friends with you, and so you obviously shouldn't reach out to them. You should never write Christmas cards. You should never wish anyone a happy birthday because, who needs to do that? You should never take it upon yourself to organize any social gatherings at your house. You should never bother organizing a trip. After all, you're the one who should be invited to these things. You aren't the one who should be organizing them because your time is worth way more than that, because remember, you're spending all your time working, right? Don't these people realize that you've got all of this work that you have to do and that you can't be the one to organize stuff? So you should absolutely let your friendships fade away over time so that you die miserable and alone. Point number 5 is that you should really, really stick to your comfort zone, and you should completely avoid any kind of change or growth at all costs. Because really, you just really want to be yourself. And being yourself means you should just accept every part of you, and you should never try and grow. You should never step outside of your comfort zone, because if you do that, things will feel a little bit uncomfortable, and you really just want to focus on maximizing comfort. And you can convince yourself that the more you maximize comfort, the happier you'll be. And by doing that, you will absolutely guarantee a life of regret. Also, if you want a life filled with regret, you should absolutely not buy and read my book, Feel Good Productivity. Feel good productivity? Why the frick would you want productivity that feels good? That's all BS. You want grindy productivity. You want disciplined productivity. Gosh, you should take a Sharpie and cross all of that out. Really, it should be titled Disciplined Productivity, How to Do More. This is going to be some of those Gen Z shitty books that just talks about following your passion and actually enjoying yourself. Enjoyment is for losers. Feeling good is for losers, not for high achievers like you. So you should absolutely avoid this book at all costs. All right, point number 6 is that you should absolutely avoid taking care of your health. You should put zero investment of time or energy or money or effort into taking care of your health. Along the way, you should probably eat really, really unhealthy things. You should never exercise. You should never go to the gym. You should always be sitting all the time. You should probably smoke as well, because all of those things feel really good in the moment. In fact, while you're there, you can sit on the sofa, you can hook up a catheter to your urethra, and you can use that as a way of not having to get up to use the toilet. You can sit in front of the computer, you can scroll social media as much as you possibly like, and all that is going to absolutely guarantee that you regret your life when you're older. All right, point number 7 is that you should always prioritize instant gratification. Always prioritize the things that feel good in the moment, because what's the point of doing something that you know will be good for you over the long term when you could do that thing that feels so good in the short term? You might as well have that extra drink. You might as well spend that extra hour scrolling social media. And if you do that, you're also going to guarantee a life filled with regret. All right, point number 8 is that you should never apologize and you should never forgive anyone. If someone has wronged you, then you should hold a grudge forever. Because after all, if you apologize to them or if you forgave them, that would mean that you're a really weak person, and you don't really want to be a weak person. You want to be the sort of person that regrets your life. Point number 9 is don't let yourself be happy. Because, if you look at these top 5 regrets of the dying, the 5th one on the list is I wish I had let myself be happier. So make sure you don't let yourself be happy. Make sure you appreciate that being happy in the moment is actually just a recipe for mediocrity. And you're not the sort of person who's mediocre. You're the sort of person who really, really cares about their work. You want to be ambitious. You don't want to allow yourself to be happy because you're so worried that if you allow yourself to be happy, it's going to take all of your drive, it's going to remove your edge, and you're going to end up being like all of those masses of people out there who are really happy but who are not achieving anything at all. While we're there, actually, make sure you set rules for yourself. Make sure you create boundaries and rules that make it really hard to enjoy your life. Make sure that the rules you set for yourself to be happy are that all sorts of things have to happen. In order for you to be happy, the weather has to be amazing. And on top of that, you must have done your 3-hour morning routine. And on top of that, you must have had a friend reach out to you to spontaneously give you some positive affirmation. And on top of that, you must have never had an argument or had a bad day at work. Ideally, not even had to work at all. Make sure to have an enormously long checklist of things that have to be true for you to be happy, such that it becomes almost impossible to experience any happiness because those things are never going to happen all in one day. And finally, point number 10, to guarantee a life filled with regret, make sure to have no intention at all when designing your life. Because why would you bother, right? Why would you bother doing any kind of reflection about what a good life means to you? Why would you ever bother watching an Ali Abdaal video about journaling prompts or how to figure out what to do with your life or thinking about what you really value? Why would you bother with that kind of stuff? You should just be like a pebble floating around in the waves. You should just go with the flow. You should just go with whatever society's telling you to do. You should just go with whatever your life circumstances and your background and upbringing were. You should never have any intentionality when it comes to designing your life. Intentionality is for losers, after all. Those people who waste their time thinking about what a good life means to them or reading philosophy or journaling about this sort of stuff, they're all just wasting their time. That's time that they could have spent working instead. And you, after all, are a worker. You really appreciate ambition and success and material possessions. Why on earth would you be intentional about designing your life? And if you really want to guarantee a life filled with regret, you should absolutely not watch this 3-part series, because in that 3-part series, I break down what to do when you're feeling lost, how to figure out what you value, how to turn it into goals for living an intentional and effective life that's not filled with regret. So if you really want to guarantee a life filled with regret, you should never, ever, ever watch that playlist of 3 videos. See ya.